So the part of this this particular lecture series is going to be focusing on photosynthesis, and we're looking at photosynthesis kind of in a nutshell. Of course, we're leaving out, lots of specifics in terms of the plant, but I think we can gain an appreciation from just kind of putting these ideas together. So I'm going to start out with a leaf. I want you to go ahead and draw your leaf if you need to. And this is going to be the top of the leaf, and of course underneath are structures called stomata. And these allow for gas exchange. So CO2 enters through the stomata. And if we blew up a part of our leaf, so I'm just going to pick out a cell, one of the plant cells. And of course we see that it's green. We see, we'll change some color here to get a little creative. We're going to see a vacuole, the large central vacuole. We'll color it blue. And the reason I'm coloring it blue is to denote water. Okay, so the large central vacuole is for the storage of water. And then of course we have the chloroplast. Okay. And then of course we have, let's see, a nucleus. I'll make that one orange. Okay. So we're just kind of taking a snapshot of the plant cell. Okay. The water comes from the roots via capillary action, and if you remember from class, we took these little glass tubes and you guys actually performed capillary action, and we linked that back to the structure of water being polar and the surface tension and the attraction of those molecules. And so that's the behavior of water is exactly why plants are able to pull water from the ground even when it appears dry through capillary action. And of course we know that the chloroplast, so chloroplast is where photosynthesis occurs. So photosynthesis occurs, and we know that this is using light to make food. So I want to blow up for just a minute what a chloroplast looks like. Again, I'm going to pull in some color here. Okay, so here we go. And I've got these disc structures. Okay. All right, so let's break down the anatomy of our chloroplast, and then we'll get back into the chemistry of photosynthesis. Okay, so here we have an outer membrane, and of course this is going to be a protective boundary for our organelle. The gelatinous fluid on the inside is called stroma, and stroma is where the Calvin-Benson cycle occurs. So Calvin-Benson cycle. And we would call this the light independent. So light independent reaction. Okay, so this happens at night. And then of course these little stacks of these little discs, these are called thylakoids. So thylakoid. And the thylakoid is surrounded by a membrane, and that is the place that photosynthesis takes place. Okay, so of course they're going to be green in color because they contain chlorophyll. So they contain chlorophyll. All right, so now we're looking at the basic parts and anatomy of photosynthesis. Let's get into the differences between light-dependent and light-independent reactions. Okay, so let me change the color of our board. Okay, let's do yellow. All right, so I have light dependent. I'm going to draw me a sun. Okay, so there's my sun. And he's sending down these photons. So we've got photons of light. and they strike the surface of the thylakoid membrane. So I'm going to do some drawings here. All right, so just bear with me for a minute. We're going to look at a membrane. And we'll talk more about the membrane a little bit later when we get into diffusion. Okay. And so here we go. So there's our phosphate heads. And then, just bear with me. Again, I know this is kind of sloppy. I have a trick up my sleeve. Okay, so now let's get to the fun part. I'm going to color. I'm going to color my chlorophyll green. Okay, so there we go. So we've got a beautiful chlorophyll. So we've got these wonderful photons that are striking the surface of the membrane, and they are causing electrons to be excited. So I'm going to write down excited electrons from the chlorophyll molecule. So from the chlorophyll molecule are doing two things. Number one, they are splitting water. And number two, they are generating ATP. Okay, so for the next part of our lecture, I'm going to actually pull up a simulation that kind of details the splitting of water and the generating of ATP. And then don't let me forget, I need to mention this electron carrier, NADP plus, becoming NADPH because his job is hugely important. So let's take a look at that simulation.